anyway,
lazy.
here's the funny thing, right? Last night I went to sleep. Now, my wife, if you haven't noticed, she ain't from this country originally. Now, when you're from this country originally, and you were back when we had an education system, okay? I mean, yeah, they used to. We used to have to read books and things in school, believe it or not. But anyway, Hemingway,
Ugh.
right? She.
I've been reading a lot of historical stuff, Jewish stuff, the Bible commentator. I mean, obviously the Bible is part of my mainstay. I listen to it, read it, and all that. I'm on that. I want to get that in really good.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I've been reading a lot of theological based stuff.
I mean, look, I was forced to read Hemingway. The one that I had to read in English literature or whatever it was Old Man in the Sea. I came away with a hatred for that teacher. All right, I am telling you, this was a damn drunk laughing the whole time he wrote these books, thinking, yeah, people are gonna read them. And the teachers sat there and read that book, and they're saying, I'm going to F with everybody. I'm going to call this a classic.
A classic.
And force everybody to read this nonsense.
Now, I mean, I just thought for sure, like, okay. I just thought for sure, okay, I've been reading so much of other stuff, and I'm like, I'm always willing to have I used to read a lot of fiction before I started reading my Bible. And then I fell head into the Bible, and I don't think I've come out yet.
No.
And so everything that I read is somewhere around the perimeter of the Bible, trying to figure out the historical, yada, yada.
You just wanted to rest your brain and read some good literature.
I'm going to read some good literature because, it's time for me. And I thought, you know what? There's this guy that everybody's very in love with, Ernest Hemingway. I'm like, I'm just going to read one of his books. The beauty, thank you, Lord, for the fact that we have this thing called Kindles and all this stuff, because then I would have been stuck with a dumb book that nobody wants to read anyways.
Yeah.
Who likes this dribble? Okay, it has no rhythm. In the late summer of that year, we lived in a house in a village that looked across the river and the plain to the mountains. In the bed of the river were pebbles and boulders, dry and white in the sun, and the water was clear and swiftly moving and blue in the channels. Ta 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 ta. That's what you hear when you read. And the whole thing, I read 2 chapters. Okay, I promise you, I gave it a chance. And then, I'm like, okay, it has to be me. It has to be me because I something. Now, one of the best books I ever read, or that I really loved, I read it very young in Spanish, and then I read it when I got. Then I read it as I got older in English, and then I think I read it again in Spanish over the life. This book has been part of my life for many years, and it says this is 1,000 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Many years later, as he faced the firing squad, Colonel Aureliano Buendia was to remember the distant afternoon when his father took him to discover ice. At that time, Macondo was a village of 20 adobe houses built on the bank of a river of clear water that ran along a bed of polished stones which were white and enormous like prehistoric eggs. Right? You hear it, right?
There's a rhythm.
There's a rhythm to it. Yeah. There's no ta 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 ta. Okay, friends. This brings a subject to mind. Honestly, why do we trust other people's tastes in book, in anything, in music, and that? I think one of the reasons people like Taylor Swift and all of that. They hear other people like it, and then you like it, or you hear that you're supposed to like Hemingway, and then you say, "Oh, yeah, it's great. I love that." No, he's hot garbage.
Yeah, he's bad. He's bad. I think actually, see, Hemingway lived this larger, and I will admit, right? He lived this larger than life life. I mean, it was the African big game hunter, the war. All right, World War I. Going over there and volunteering, and he lived this crazy life. All right, but that doesn't mean that you have to read this drunk's books.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm saying, yeah, I'll write a book about the man. Say, yeah, he was cool, right? But oh my gosh, here you go. If you're ever thinking about reading The Old Man in the Sea, here you go. A miserable old man goes out in a little bitty boat, catches a great big ass fish, ties it to the side of the boat because he can't get it in the boat. Then he rows back to shore, and the other fish eat the fish. The end. I just saved you a week of suffering through the most miserable book ever printed. That's
Okay.
it.
Let
There's no deep message. There was nothing.
Let-
He was a miserable old man when he went out, and he's a miserable old man when he came back.
let me challenge you guys.
All alone because he was miserable.
The lovely Christians out there. The one classic book everybody tells you need to read. You gotta read this. This is the best book, the Christian book. This is the Pilgrim's Progress. I keep telling you guys just now. I just told you before time. I am not no schlub when it comes to reading. I've read a lot over my lifetime. I try to read. I bought the book. I got the book. This is the book the old Christians love to read. I read it. Not really. I read 3 or 4 chapters, if that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not good. This
No.
is really not good. I put it down. I thought maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just not enjoying it. Like every book, sometimes I put it down and come back to it another day and see if or later on. I've tried to read it 4 times, guys. 4 times. I can't. It's boring.
Now the flip side to this is maybe we're not, what would you say, la-ti-da and all prim and proper. No, these people are effing with you. They are. They're like, let's see how many other people we can con into reading this crap, right? And then you read it and you don't get it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, I can't tell people I didn't like it because everybody else likes it, so I'm going to lie too. That's definitely not Christian.
Jane Austen is so much better than this garbage. I read all her books. I came from Mexico, so I had no clue that she did. And that she wrote in the 1500s or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I was truly devastated when I read all her books, and I went looking for more, and they're like, she's probably not going to write anymore because she's dead and been dead for a while. Because she, but she was good. And okay, and then I don't. You know what? I try to read Wuthering Heights. People love Wuthering Heights. It is the most boring book ever, and those people have no redemptive qualities whatsoever. I went all the way half through it, and I was like, somebody owes me money and for my time reading this thing. So don't give the book.
Come on, it's just like Romeo and Juliet and all that. William Shakespeare, right? These books are so freaking bad that they sell a book called Cliff Notes. It's just a condensed version of that crap, so you can read that and come out with your sanity. These books are so horrible, right? It's like they've been effing with us since the 1600s on these stupid books.
Yeah, you need to read that. If you never read 1,000 Years of Solitude, it's an epic book, and
we're fully aware there's people out there that are going to say that book's crap.
No, I know, and there's another book by the same author called "Love in the Times of Cholera," and it's also a really good book. Just recommendations, you guys. Those are beautiful books. Hemingway. Throw in the comments. Throw your best book of Hemingway out there if you read Hemingway. And
don't.
And tell me which one. I'll read at least a few pages. And if I come up, I honestly, if Hemingway can redeem himself somehow. You guys think that there's a book? If you can tell me you read the Farewell to Arms, and it's he's not his best example of how he wrote, or An Old Man River. What's the
Old
name of
Man
that?
in the Sea. That was,
Old Man in
oh
the
my
Sea.
God, worst book ever.
It's not
Forced to read.
it's not a good
I still didn't
example.
pass that class.
It's not a good example of Hemingway's writing. What is his best book? Like,
He doesn't have any.
What that you fell in love with? That you okay? Here's to me. Okay, 1,000 Years of Solitude and Love in the Times of Cholera, and there's a couple other books in my life, but especially 1,000 Years of Solitude. I read it over my lifetime a bunch of times.
Him and Shakespeare sitting in heaven laughing at us.
That's
Especially
right.
Shakespeare.
So what I'm trying to say is, there's those books that you keep around forever. Even if you don't have the actual book or whatever, you read over and over the lifetime, and they stay. Do you have a Hemingway book of that? What is your like that book? I'll read a couple pages and then I'll laugh at you.
More than likely.
Probably.
Anyhow, it's just funny. She woke up this morning and she said, I was reading Hemingway last night. I'm like, what on earth for?
I did read Mark Twain.
Mark
Twain is funny.
Mark Twain is, I'm not a particularly a Mark Twain fan, but at least his books, they have a rhythm and you can actually read. Like Huck Finn, I never laughed so much in my life. Okay, there was a lot of things in Huck Finn that I thought were really funny. But hey, I mean, at least he's entertaining to read. I didn't see anything long lasting and whatever, but at least they were fun books, right?
I mean, look, I read all the Harry Potter things, and they were good.
Oh, there's a good one.
Simple.
If you guys know what Mark Twain's real name was, put it in the comment, because I'll bet you most of you people do not know.
Yeah.
I'll give you a clue. His first name was Samuel.
Don, don,
don. Right?
No, but let me tell you, Harry Potter is good entertainment, fun, easy. There's it's no high, it's not high literature, okay? It isn't. But it's good entertaining, fun, and even Harry Potter has a rhythm that is pleasant to the ears, to the mental ears, however you want to say it.
I have a theory on some of these authors. Here's how they got popular. Someone back in the day thought that these books would be really popular, so they printed way too many of them. Okay, so they went to the bookstores and nobody bought them, right? So the bookstores put them out there on the dollar shelf. You know, the dollar shelf, when you walk into the big bookstores, they always put them crappy books out there for sale cheap. Hillary Clinton's book and, all them chicks that write those horrible books, and Barack Obama's books, and yeah. And who the heck was he married to? Big Mike's book. I mean, they put all that stuff out there for $1 because nobody wants it. So that's what happened there with all these authors, right? So there was a surplus of those books that got out there. And when they died, their kids come across these books and says, oh, it must have been a classic. No, that's the book she used to prop the door open with.
Yeah, you know what? You might have a point. What?
Yeah.
Any book that is well loved, it literally falls apart at some point.
That's right.
The original copy I had of 1,000 Years of Solitude literally fell apart. I had to throw it away. There was no substance to it anymore. So the good books, you don't really have any good book that you have that still has pristine covers and things like that. That means it wasn't nowhere near as popular as people say. The least extant copies that we have of something, the more likely it was that people hated it and we're stuck reading it because we have copies of it and it was from this time and it's like blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, that was last night.
We thought we'd bring you something lighthearted because, dang.
Yeah.
It's been kind of rough.
Anyways.
The world is kind of messed up.
Yeah, it sure is. But Yeah, I mean, anyway, God bless you, everybody.
Read books. Read books.
Read books.
They're good for
It's
you.
better than anything else happening these
That's
days.
true.
All
That's
right,
true.
bye bye.
Bye-bye.